Hey guys, gwyned here. Today I am bringing you the other semifinals from the Standard Pauper Double League. This is the end of the so-called losers bracket. This is a game that was actually recorded by Joe Cool, and he asked me to go ahead and do some narration on it. This is, like I said, the final match of the losers bracket. Whoever wins this will go on to play Joe in the finals for the Double League. This is between Freya K and Cerulean. At the bottom, Cerulean is playing White Weenie, and Freya K is playing the standard Is It Prowess deck. So he's starting off with the Jeskai Sage, excuse me. And Cerulean's going to have a Token Freeblade. One of the better cards come out of Origins. Just has the ability to get in very easily and very quickly turn into 3/3 Vigilance that you've only paid 2 mana for is definitely a very good deal. But of course, having the Sage back to help block is definitely a fairly good play. Be interesting to see here. If he's going to go ahead and attack, which he is not. See if he's got another follow-up play here. He does. He's got a second Sage, which it'll be interesting to see here. I assume Cerulean won't attack because essentially Afree would draw a card off both of his cards and he would lose both. It doesn't make sense unless he's got a combat trick. So I would assume here now that the fact that Cerulean's even making this attack means that he's got some kind of combat trick here. So Afree's going to throw, interesting, just one of the Sages in front of it, assuming he must have a combat trick. So basically prevents the damage, keeps the Token Freeblade from activating Renown, and of course Afree gets the card back. And then Cerulean's going to play a second Freeblade and pass the turn back. Alright, Afree's found his 4th land, very important for that deck to get up to at least 4 lands. 5's better, but doesn't need much more than that. It looks like Cerulean may be a little bit mana screwed, only having 2 mana at this point. If he does have a Fiery Impulse to get rid of one of the Freeblades, pumps up his Jeskai Sage, and he is then able to attack with it. Nope, he's just going to hold it back. Doesn't want to make that trade. So Freeblade's going to go ahead and swing in here. Afree could easily have Anticipate would be the most likely combat trick he had, or not combat trick, but instant he would have. Doesn't look like he has it, but he does again prevent Renown from being activated on the Freeblade. And Cerulean has an Anak Bondkin to join the Freeblade on the board, but is still stuck, it looks like, on 2 mana. Let's see if Afree doesn't, not surprising, doesn't have a card to play there. Does have another Swiftwater Cliffs. Let's see if he's got anything to get onto his board. He's got a second Fiery Impulse to get rid of the Bondkin. And Bondkin obviously is very good in this deck. I think if Cerulean's playing a White Weenie build similar to the one that Joe played before, pretty much every creature in there has the ability to get +1/+1 counters on it. It's a very important creature. Let's see, Afree also looks like he's got... I was going to say he's casting Treasure Cruise, but not necessarily. The way they've reshaped the way mana cost pays, so it always. But it is in fact a Treasure Cruise. So he'll go ahead and draw 3 cards and then pass the turn back. So now Cerulean, only having 2 mana is really starting to hurt. He is here going to go ahead and activate the Renown on the Freeblade, pumping up to 3 points, and certainly that's nice. Oh, and he does find a 3rd land and has a Mardu Horde Chief as well. So definitely got a pretty decent board considering that Afree doesn't have anything on the board, but also has a lot more cards in hand. So it'll be interesting to see how this matches up. So Afree finds a Majoring Bully, not at its best here, considering it has to attack every turn, but he has enough mana that he'd be able to pump it up a couple times here. Oh, and has a second one. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. He's obviously will be forced to attack with those each turn. Obviously not this turn since it's got Summoning Sickness. But those obviously don't match up very well against Cerulean's creatures. At least not if he can't activate the Prowess. I would expect here that Cerulean will go ahead and attack with the Freeblade, especially if he has any kind of combat trick, which it seemed like he did before. Oh, and he's going to get in there with the Horde Chief as well. That's a little more surprising. I would have expected him to hold that back. He's just going to go ahead, it looks like, and block both, so I would expect some kind of trick here from a free AK. See what he wants to do here. He does have a combat trick, casting Titan Strength to make sure that the first majoring bully survives and that the other one will kill the Horde Chief. But of course I would assume here that Cerulean has a trick as well, which it looks like he does. He's going to cast Lithomancer's Focus, bump up one of the creatures. And obviously, Free doesn't have any more tricks. Looks like the Horde Chief and the Majoring Bully will trade. And then, oh, and as will, no, the other one goes ahead and survives. And then he follows it up with a Sandstep Outcast. Excuse me. Alright, so back on his turn, let's see what a Free's able to do here. It's definitely put up a nice little board. He's got a Tormenting Voice to help him dig for even more cards. It still just has a single Majoring Bully in play. Has an Anticipate to continue to draw even more cards. That's one of the hallmarks of this particular Izzet deck. It's just the fact that even though it's pretty aggressive, it can also just, between Tormenting Voice and Treasure Cruise and Anticipate, can draw so many cards so quickly. It's really, I think, the hardest thing to deal with this deck. So both opponents still at a very healthy 20 life. Definitely not, every round that goes on, it makes it harder and harder for White Weenie to win, simply because the Free is going to continue to gather more and more card advantage. The White Weenie deck really wants to win very, very quickly, simply because he doesn't have any way to keep up with the constant stream of cards that a Free is going to be able to generate like he is here. So he's going to go ahead and swing in with the Prowess-enabled Majoring Bully, and Cerulean's just going to chump block with one of his tokens, and that'll be how that turn ends. See what Cerulean wants to do at this point. He's just going to go ahead and swing in with everything. Drop his opponent down to 15, and presumably has a follow-up here. Has a pacifism for the Majoring Bully. Okay, that's a pretty good play. Nice way of dealing with that. I don't, of course, a Free is playing at least one source of bounce that would enable him to get it back into his hand. And possibly some others as well. Got access to a lot of mana. Interesting to see what he wants to do here. Definitely, he's still got plenty of time. Obviously, the board is tilted very much against him, and Cerulean, simply by the fact that he's only drawn 4 lands, is in a sense keeping up, depending on how many lands he has in hand, is really keeping up with the card advantage simply because he's drawn so many fewer lands than his opponent. But still, eventually, a Free is going to be able to overwhelm him if Cerulean's not able to push through and get a win very, very quickly here. So Free's considering his options, trying to figure out what the best move for him is in this situation. He's already cast 2 Treasure Cruises. Looks like, I'm guessing this is a third one. Oh no, this would be Clutch Occurrence. He's going to go ahead and Clutch Occurrence his Majoring Bully. Yeah, and go ahead. And plus it gives him a 3/3 attacker to attack with. Very good for him. I assume he's going to attack in with it. He might hold it back instead. Yeah, he's going to hold it back. And then at the end of the turn, he's able to tap it, or even after he uses it as a defender. Now, he could use it for Anticipate. Could also replay the Majoring Bully, but obviously probably makes more sense simply to hold it back as a blocker. See what Cerulean's willing to go ahead and tangle with it, if he's got another combat trick in hand or not. He is going to go ahead and just swing in with the Horde Chief. No, he's going to swing in with everything. A Free could very easily have another, either a Fiery Impulse or some other kind of combat trick to make sure that he wins battle. Does look like that Cerulean's got a feat of resistance that will enable the Sandstep Outcast to survive. He's not able to deal with it at instant speed, so he'll go ahead and essentially just pumps him up, though. I wonder if Cerulean realized that he couldn't actually protect against it, because even though the enchantment was blue, the island essentially is dealing colorless damage. So that's kind of interesting. But it does take a land away from a free as well, which could end up mattering. I don't know if Cerulean realized that or not. He probably did, but it is something to take note of, that there was no way there for the feat of resistance to help protect his guy, simply because you can't protect against colorless, at least not with feat of resistance. So Free's just going to summon the Majoring Bully and to pass the turn back. Cerulean is going to cast a Sandcrafter Mage, allowing him to boost one of his guys. It'll be interesting to see if he's going to boost the Flyer. I think that's the right choice. Go ahead and swing in with just the Flyer at this point. Hold back the Horde Chief. Seems like a pretty good play. There's just too many ways for a free to be able to pump up the Majoring Bully. So he'll swing in, drop his opponent 10. So he's halfway there. Free has another Anticipate that he's going to cast into turn. See if he has a second follow-up. Obviously digging for some kind of solution here, especially to deal with that Flyer. Another Clutch Occurrence, or another Fiery Impulse. Even Twin Bolt would be enough to help deal with it. So obviously here the Majoring Bully is going to have to swing in. He may want to hold back an instant. No, it looks like he's going to go ahead and cast something now. Maybe not. Doing the classic double clutch. He's going to go ahead and cast Clutch Occurrence on the token, which is a great way of dealing with it. Gets rid of it entirely, and he animates one of his lands as well. Can pretty freely swing in here. Let's see, he's just going to swing with Majoring Bully. Let's see if Cerulean is just going to take it. He is at 20 life. That would be my guess, is he'll just take it, drop himself down to 17. No big deal. No reason to trade in his Horde Chief for it, which is obviously what a free would choose to kill. Although if he doesn't have a good attack here, it might have been a better option to go ahead and kill it off. Let's see what he wants to do here. Obviously, in and of himself, can't just swing in. Has a Misttooth Kirin, alright, so again, that's another Flyer that Free's got to have to deal with. Not a lot of 1 mana combat tricks out there, at least not for 1 white mana, so yeah, he's just going to go ahead and pass the turn back. That's what I would expect. Alright, so Free here, obviously, he's going to have to attack in with Mage Bully, but he's got plenty of untapped mana. Shouldn't have any trouble pumping it up, which is going to make it very difficult for Cerulean to be able to block. Has another Majoring Bully. I think that's his 3rd Majoring Bully, and the 4th one. Wow. He got bullies for days. And now, it's just like that, the board advantage has shifted significantly. And after next turn, Free's going to be able to swing in for a whole bunch of damage. And if he's got a if he's got the Temur Battle Rage that will allow one to double strike, this game could be over very, very quickly. So he's going to go ahead and now he's going to double block and kill the Majoring Bully, and so trades for the Majoring Bully and for his Sandset Mage. Pretty even trade there. And Cerulean on his turn is going to go ahead and attack in with Kirin, dropping his opponent down to 8, and follow it up with another Sandstep Outcast. I assume he'll make another flying token here. That would be what would make the most sense. Simply having a diversity of creatures. I don't know, I haven't seen a free draw a single Twin Bolt yet, which usually when you're playing against the Izzet deck, that's the disadvantage of having a lot of 2/1s, or X1s essentially, because Twin Bolt's just everywhere, it seems like. So Free's continuing to dig with Tormenting Voice. He's got a pretty nice board presence now. It's going to be hard for Cerulean to really get through other than with his Flyer. And Free just continues to dominate the card advantage game, continuing to dig deeper and deeper into his deck. Again, every turn that goes by is really working towards the Izzet Prowess deck's advantage and working against White Weenie. White Weenie, you pretty much want to win in the first few turns, because if you don't, you're going to be up against it. So he does have yet another Clutch Occurrence. He doesn't awaken at this time, just going to get that Kirin off. Interesting that he picked the Kirin instead of the token. but he's now able to swing in with some very powerful creatures. Got a 3/3 and two 4/4s. Cerulean really doesn't have any good blocks. There aren't any really good one mana combat tricks. And yeah, it's definitely going to take a bit of damage here. Also has to be careful, again, Timber Battle Rage. He can't just let all the damage go through, because that would represent... Oh, I guess it wouldn't represent quite lethal. He'd have one life left. So let's see what Cerulean chooses to do here. He does, like I said, doesn't really have any good blocks. He can go ahead and double block. And I guess with that particular double block, his opponent does have to have... No, actually, that's a great double block, because he knows that he'll just trade 1 for 1 there, unless his opponent has a Titan Strength. Oh, but interesting. Okay, so I think here he's going for the win. He's going to Titan Strength the Mage Ring Bully, pumping up to, let's see, a 6, 7, 8, 9 to Mirror Battle Rage, and that will be how it ends if he does, in fact, have the Temur Battle Rage, which I would expect that he does. And he does indeed have the Battle Rage. Go ahead and completely pump up, and he's going to do, I think, 18 points of damage just from the 1. And that is how Game 1 is going to end here. So I'll be back in just a moment for the next game. All right, and we are back for Game 2 of this semifinals between Afriyie and Cerulean in the Standard Pauper Double League in the losers bracket. So Afriyie is up 1 game with the Izzet Prowess deck, and Cerulean is down a game with his White Weenie build. We are once again off to the races. Cerulean doesn't have a 2-drop here. Definitely hurts him being on the play, and not being able to present a 2-drop threat is definitely hurts him here. He, as White Weenie, really want to get off to a really fast start. Just start off putting a lot of pressure on your opponent. Instead, it is Afriyie who's able to get the pressure in, immediately having a Mage Ring Bully on turn 2. So Cerulean does at least have the 3rd land here. Let's see what creature he's going to decide to play here. He's almost got to, at this point, have a creature, and he does. Going to play the Sandstep Outcast. Go ahead and generate the token, presumably. Which indeed is what he's going to do. So we know Afriyie is going to go ahead and swing in here with the Mage Ring Bully. Obviously, Cerulean would be very foolish to block it, simply because Afriyie has way too many options as far as ways of killing the pumping up the Mage Ring Bully. So he does have indeed has the Fiery Impulse to get rid of the Sandstep Outcast, swing in for 3 points of damage. At least that it wasn't a Twin Bolt, right? That was able with 1 card to take out both halves of his card. So at least Cerulean got a little bit of advantage there. Got half a card of advantage out of that. His opponent having to trade a whole card for basically, I would say, what's essentially 2/3 of one of his cards. So a little bit of advantage there. But in Standard Pauper, sometimes you just got to squeeze out every little bit you can get. So let's see. Cerulean does have a 4th land, which he's got to hope that he doesn't have any more than that. That's more than enough for the White Weenie deck to operate here. And he's considering his options, trying to figure out what he's going to be able to do to push back against his opponent. Thinking pretty hard here in the tank. He's going to go ahead and just presumably swing in for a point of damage here. Or is he going to hold it back? I can't imagine he'd want to hold it back, but he's going to. If he has a strong combat trick in hand, that would be a reason to hold it back. But in general, a 1/1 doesn't match up even against the Jeskai Sage. So he must. I'm assuming he has a pretty good combat trick here, and Afriyie's just going to go ahead and use Clutch of Currents to bounce it, get it out of the way, and that's going to allow him to deal a whole bunch of damage. Okay, so he does have Feat of Resistance, so he is able to pump it up to a 2/2 and negate the Clutch of Currents, giving it protection from blue as well, meaning that it's going to be able to block the Jeskai Sage and let it bounce off of him without any trouble. But Afriyie seemingly is not worried about that, is happy to go ahead and get it out there. So he'll go ahead and block the Jeskai Sage, see if Afriyie has any kind of spell to save it. Hope he's just content for it to go ahead and die and to draw a card off of it, basically replacing itself. Oh, and then Cerulean has the Celestial Flare to go ahead and get rid of the Majoring Bully as well, which he does, so that's good for him, clearing out his opponent's board. And let's see if a free has a follow-up, does have his fourth land, and has another Majoring Bully. Those have been very good for him. Let's see what Cerulean's able to muster up here. Already down to 14 points of life against a very aggressive deck. Now he's happy to go ahead and attack. Has a fifth land, which definitely is not good for him. Means he's going to start falling behind the power curve here pretty quickly. And he will go ahead and put down a morph. Almost certainly the Mischief Kirin, but it means next turn he'll be able to unblock it and have a pretty decent flyer for his mana. Can't imagine that he would want to trade it for the Majoring Bully here, unless a free taps out first. But even then, if he's tapping out for something, almost certainly will be able to pump up the Majoring Bully, and he is going to go ahead and use Firing Impulse on the Morph creature. And it was, no surprise, a Kirin, and swing in for 3 points with the Majoring Bully. Cerulean doesn't have any answer for it, and now he is down to 11. And a free's going to follow it up with a third Majoring Bully. Like I said, those have been very good for him. He's been drawing those very, very successfully. One of the angles that you can use to attack against this deck is if you can get rid of all their creatures, because they're really not playing that many. But at least in this case, it really seems like a free. He's got his back against the wall, and interesting, he's going to go ahead. I guess if you're not going to block, you might as well attack. Hopefully he's got at least one creature here, maybe two, to follow up with. Does find the Anik Bonkin, which is definitely good. Gives first strike to the flyer. And let's see what a free wants to do next. Probably just swing in with both here. The Bonkin doesn't really have a good block, unless he's got another combat trick in hand. He is going to go ahead and block here. Presumably Free's got some way of pumping it up. He's going to use Titan Strength, and I'm guessing Timber Battle Rage on the other one. And unless Cerulean's got a combat trick of some sort to deal with it, that is going to be how this match ends. Yeah, the combination of Titan Strength and Timber Battle Rage is really unfair. It's really the Izzet Prowess deck gets off to a fast start. All it needs is one unblocked blocker. Combination of Titan Strength and Timber Battle Rage represents 6, 12 or more points of damage. And so that is how this particular match ended, and Free AK will play in the finals. Thanks so much for watching.
In closing, let me remind you, you can keep up with all my writings and articles by following me on Twitter at the username gwyned42. That's GWYNED and the number 42. I also regularly publish articles over at puremtgo.com. Search for me by the username gwyned on that site, or find the link in the description of this video. I also maintain a blog now at writeradept.blogspot.com, and you can also find that in the description. Finally, if you enjoyed these videos, please remember to subscribe to my channel and post any feedback or comments. Thanks for watching.